You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Okay, we're going to get started with the Town of Branford Board of Finance special work session and budget meeting for Monday, March 28th, 2022. And before we get started, I'd just like to point out that a couple things. One is that this is the Board of Finance's workshop. We've had the public hearings, and so that this is really a session for the board to conduct in public, but we're not seeking comment or presentations. If the board has a question from a member of the administration or a committee member or such, we'll ask that. But generally, we don't anticipate or accept back and forth communication at this point in time. Also like to mention that Victor Casella is joining us remotely, and he will voice if in fact he's opposed to a particular motion. I believe that's correct, Victor?
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay. So first on the agenda is to consider and if appropriate, approve the following transfer request to support changing capital project needs in the sewer reserve fund. So these are transfers to close out projects and fund improvements at the plant. The following transfer identifies unexpended balances from projects within the sewer reserve fund to finance new and existing projects at the plant. From seepage receiving facility, $100,000, new generator, $342,000, garage expansion, $766,000, gravity belt thickener, $299,866, for a total of $1,507,866. And transferring to D-Box 2 slide gate replacement, $28,866. Replace variable drives at the plant for $135,000. Upgrade of controls and data systems, $205,000. Replace the UV light disinfection system for $900,000. Blower and secondaries at the facility for $239,000. And that total, I assume, is $1,507,866. $1,507,866. Welcome.
Good evening. Brian Devlin, Superintendent of Wastewater Treatment Plant. The septic receiving facility, that's about going to be completed soon. We had leftover funds from the generator that's going to be done by Wednesday, and the garage expansion. We didn't have to do a garage expansion. We're fine with that. And the gravity belt thickener, that's been running for about a year and a half. That's the extra money we had on that project. So I have other projects in the facility because the plant's 21 years old. So the replacement of variable frequency drives, those run the main pumps in about 15 different apparatuses. So the drives have been working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day for 21 years. So I'm going to be changing the guts out on them. That's where that funding's going for that. And in our facility, we have a SCADA system. It's an old analog system. We're going to go to a digital. And I had a price to do it in pieces, but the whole total would be around $1,205 to upgrade it to the technology that's required. And the disinfection system, that's 21 years old. They don't make it no more, and we can't really get parts anymore. So we have to have a newer model, the disinfection unit by Trojan. So I was switch that out to the newer equipment for the disinfection. And the blowers, the extra money to work on the blowers for the facility. And
Okay, Brian. So As far as the procurement process, you work with Town Hall on the bidding and procurement and all that sort of thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Charlie, you had a question?
Hey, Brian, what's the size of the generator?
The generator is a 750 kW Cummins.
Okay. What was the total?
The total for that was $499.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
there's where the extra came in on that.
And do you work with Town Hall, like Debbie Karen, on the system upgrade, or do you use different vendors, or?
Different vendors on the apparatus for the equipment that we have. I usually look at the equipment we have, like our diffusers and stuff, and there's only a few companies that make this stuff.
Yeah.
So I try to go out to bid and get the best price. And, but it's 21 years old now, the facility, you know.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Charlie?
This is, for a 750 kW, it was 500. Can you turn it back about 350? Only 150 for a 750 kW?
No, the 750 kW generator cost $499,000. They had allocated in the fund about 600 or 700 that they had in there. We didn't need it all.
Okay.
So this is turning the money back?
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
turning the money
342 is coming back.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions on this transfer request within the capital items, within the sewer reserve fund? Somebody want to move it?
I'll move it, Joe.
And moved,
A second.
seconded by Charlie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the transfer to close out projects and transfer balances to the sewer reserve fund. The following transfers identifies unexpended balances within the 700 fund. These balances will be transferred to the sewer reserve fund to finance future needs and limit the amount of future debt issued to the plant collection system. So these are again within the capital fund versus the reserve fund. The Forest Main, Johnson's Point, $100,000. The septage receiving facility, another $140,000. Wonderware and PC upgrades, $951. The HOMA mixer, $15,000. EMU mixer, $85.50. New camera and tractor, $774. And the SW-C grit classifier for $86,650. Total of $351,925, transferring out to the sewer reserve fund. Brian?
Yes, these projects are, the Forest Main on Johnson's Point's been completed. This one we had extra on it. The septic receiving unit, that we didn't need this much money for it. The Wonderware, we're all set with that. The Homer mixer, we already have that. We didn't need this money for this. And then the other mixer, we have 3 spares, so we're good there. And the camera truck, that's what we had left in that account. And the new camera and tractor, the grid classifier for $86,650 that was left on that project that we did. We did a lot of work in-house ourselves, so we didn't have to go out to bid. So that's what we had left there.
Okay, questions on this?
I'll move it, Joe.
Been moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by Harry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Brian. you
Okay,
all
thank
set?
you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Number 2 is to consider and if appropriate approve the following transfer request for Parks and Open Space budget. And it's from other supplies, $3,000, from capital outlay improvements, $4,000 for a total of $7,000. Transferring into purchasing services and repair, $7,000. Welcome.
Thank you.
Rich?
Hello, Charlie?
Okay. All right. Get the high spots on this?
Yeah, basically, this is just playing catch-up with the storm, leftover storm from last year, where the amount of rain just eroded 2 main trails, and the sedimentation pond did what it's supposed to, but the amount of sediment was over 2 feet in one rainstorm.
Wow.
So now that's pretty well full, and it's moved everything up a couple of years. We weren't thinking about doing it for another year or 2 at least.
And this is within this current year's budget, Jim, right? Okay, thanks, Richard. Questions?
I'll move it.
Moved by Harry,
Second.
seconded by Jeff. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All set. Number 3 is to consider and if appropriate approve the following transfer request for human services, Branford Counseling Center, from wages and salaries $12,000, transfer into seasonal part-time $9,000, uniform and clothing $2,000, and miscellaneous $1,000 for a total of $12,000. Welcome, Peter.
Joe. Probably the biggest thing on this is the transfer to seasonal part-time. When I was here presenting the budget, we had an APRN that was in our other purchase services, and HR felt that the person should go to part-time. So I have to make up the shortfall on that, and that's where that $9,000 is going to go in there to pay for her salary.
So we're not taking it out of where she's actually being paid from, we're moving it from.
Right.
You have an overage
In wages and salaries.
wages and salaries, so it's moving it.
Yep. And it's a new line item, the uniforms and clothing. You know, we'd like to, as I said, we'd like to kind of brand our new image. And this will help the staff when we go out and do different projects in the community. So we'll wear some kind of apparel that's going to have our logo, which I think is pretty nice. So instead of going someplace else, I was encouraged by our assistant finance director to open up a new line item. She's laughing at me.
Okay,
And the miscellaneous is, we use that for different activities for our clients. And we kind of went over a little bit, so $1,000 is going to help us get back to where we need to be.
questions from Peter? Jonathan?
Why the increase, or why the excess in wages?
Well, what happened, when we formed our budget last year, we had our regular staff. Then in August and September, we had 3 staff clinicians leave.
Oh, all
So-
right.
So we budgeted for
I
them.
get it, okay. And you rehired?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. How long were you, say, without?
We were probably out of, probably about 3 months maybe, as we were trying to find different clinicians, and they were tough to find, but we were able to get them,
All Yale
everybody in
people?
place. I'm
All
sorry?
Yale people?
No,
Yale?
no.
Yale, no?
No.
Oh.
These are LCSWs. We had to hire LMSWs for now because the LCSWs were either taken or they were looking for too much money. So we hired people that we knew they were going to get their license within the next few months. So we started them off low, and then we were going to bring them up once they get their license.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Peter. Other questions? So you want to move?
I'll move
this?
it.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Harry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Number 4 is to consider and if appropriate approve the following transfer for Public Works from regular wages and salaries $48,015 to overtime $47,315, and professional development $700 for a total of $48,015.
Joe, I'll present this.
Sure.
Jerry is actually out sick today. So you have the transfer from regular wages and salaries to cover overtime throughout this year due to staffing shortages as well as people out with during the pandemic, as well as, and you may recall during the budget presentation, they did not bring in any part-time help this year, seasonal part-time help. So therefore, not to fall behind on any of the work that they typically schedule, they did do some additional hours and Saturday hours throughout the year to cover that, to make sure work was still being completed, keeping the paving schedule on. This will also, as is stated in the letter, cover for the events that are coming up, festival, parades, the spring cleaning. As well, I must mention, he does mention in here for additional snowstorm in March. So he wrote this last week or 2 weeks ago, so I guess he knew something was coming.
You got it covered. Yeah.
So that's for the other overtime to, the other to line item $700 professional development. That is part of the contractual obligation. As this board is aware, the contract was settled over this fiscal year, and part of that agreement was to cover the cost of the, I believe it was the CDL physicals.
So that is now being, was not budgeted going into this fiscal year. So that is to cover those physicals that were done this year.
Okay. Thanks. Questions on this?
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved.
Second.
Second by Harry. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 5 is to consider and if appropriate approve a transfer request from the Board of Ed. Welcome, Don.
Good evening, thank you.
Okay.
So there are 3 elements to our request here, and I want to thank Mr. Finch for helping us understand and manage the project numbering system, so that if you have the most recent version of our request, it reflects some of his guidance. And the first item is transfer from a project that we had for the high school girls softball dugout and press box. We were able to build the dugouts, no problem, but we were not able to do the press box part due to wetlands consideration. And we'd like to transfer that money into system-wide door replacement, which we're always replacing doors. The next one is the original project was elevator upgrades, which we've completed the work we wanted to do at the high school, and that came in under budget. And similar to doors, we're always doing bathroom renovations. And our original proposal was to transfer that money to project 15417, and the revised suggestion is that we take the money from the elevator upgrades and the 15417 bathroom renovations and roll them into a current account for bathroom renovations.
Is that system-wide now?
Yes, it is.
Okay. That's the $61,828.
And then the third item is it's a little unusual. Due to waivers that are available to our food service program that have been for the past couple of years, starting at the federal level but endorsed by the state, we have been operating at a surplus. And normally our food service program is about break even. You know, sometimes we have a kind of a small surplus, but it's particularly this year, we've been able to serve meals to all of our students regardless of their ability to pay. Everyone can have a meal without paying, and the student participation in our lunch program has just gone through the roof. So we're serving food that they like, and we're happy that we're able to feed them. And the silver lining of that, combined with very generous reimbursement rates, is that we are operating at a positive addition of fund balance this year. And last year we netted about $41,000, and with what we're going to make this year, we're going to be able to cover that cost of the upgrade to the servery, the part where the kids go in to get their food at the high school. That's what that $120,000 was for. And what we had anticipated doing that, and this was with that money, which is reflected in the capital budget proposal request, is reallocating that money to an architectural study for Walsh, which we've been talking about for a few years, and now would be a very good time to do it, as we're anticipating some major investments coming up there for air conditioning and windows and a boiler. Tile replacements at Murphy and Tisco schools, and the removal of underground storage tanks, which there's really one. We're talking about the tank at Sliney, which is approaching 30 years old, and it has to come out of the ground. So those 4 items would have been in our capital request for next year, for 22-23, and by doing this redesignation, we'll be able to do those without any burden on the taxpayers.
Okay, thanks, Don. Charlie, question?
Hey, Don, does that take care of all the storage tanks, underground tanks? Are there any more left?
I believe that's the last one.
The last
I think
one?
there's one at central office on 1111 Main Street, in the current central office at the old post office. I believe there's one there, but the schools are all set.
And the meals, you serve 2 meals, breakfast and lunch?
Breakfast and lunch.
Okay.
All right, other questions?
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Charlie. Discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
All set. Thank you. Next is item number 6, to consider and if appropriate approve a transfer request from the first selectman for Branford Cable TV budget as follows: from subcontracting $3,500 into seasonal and part-time $3,500.
Okay, so Joe, as the board is aware, we have a subcontracting line item within the budget. However, after further review of the position for Henry to film town meetings, it really met the standard of a part-time employee. So working with HR, we're moving the position from a subcontracting to a part-time employee position.
Right. Questions on this? Moved by Harry,
Second.
second by Jeff. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 7 is to consider and if appropriate approve a transfer request from the first selectman for a public celebration. Budget as follows: from contingency $11,829 into equipment rental $11,829.
It says 9.
$11,929. Thank you.
Yeah, but
So
What's the right number?
829.
I think it's 829.
let's do 929. I'd rather not have to come back for $100.
That was quick.
Actually, let me, I can get you
I think the letter says 829.
It does, all right, that's what I was just looking at. 829 is
it's 829.
Good catch, Charlie.
Yeah.
So with this item, as you know, the festival, the stage that was purchased 24 years ago, that was at the time, I guess, split between the town, the Board of Education, and the festival committee, has really come to its end of its useful life. The committee is looking at the condition of the current stage and what's been required to set it up, although it has not been set up in 2 years. But, you know, there's a lot of concern over the current condition. In discussing it with those associated with the part of the festival committee, they went out and solicited some pricing for renting a stage for this weekend, and this will also cover the festival weekend, as long as there's no more snow days. It sounds like a graduation as well. Just to point out that this number is full setup, the stage, full setup and breakdown. This just, you know, historically it's the town Public Works, GGB, Parks and Rec, Board of Ed, a number of employees to set the stage up, as well as maintain it throughout the during the festival and after the festival. So although they were exploring other options for the future, it was suggested, recommended, we all are in agreement that renting a stage for this season is a way to go in addressing the needs.
Okay, thanks, Judy. Questions on this?
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Harry. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, number 8 is to consider if appropriate approve various transfers and resolutions from the finance director. Jim, you've given us a 2-pager here.
Okay, so basically you could break this down into 3 categories. So you essentially have cuts, you have closeouts, and then consolidations. And so the first item is taking $53,000 from contingency and funding 2 projects that were requested in the capital budget for general government buildings. And that is the $28,000 for Orchard House for part of the roof, and the $25,000 at the Volunteer Service Center. The others are really closeouts. You can see there's about 7 accounts with small balances totaling $7,109. Those dollars will come back to the general fund. And then in terms of consolidations, there was an old seawall account which was set up under Docks and Recreation. Newer versions of that are under Public Works. So we're consolidating the seawall repairs into the 22 project.
Makes sense, Jim. Let me ask
It
you,
kind of makes sense.
What's the contingency balance?
The contingency balance using the 11,829 is 440,431.
440,
431.
431. So let me read through these, and then if you have additional information. It'd be, as Jim pointed out, from contingency, 53,000 into Orchard House roof for 28,000, and Volunteer Service Center, some MAUs, which are part of the HVAC system, for 25,000, for a total of 53,000. Then there's the closeouts of, why don't we take them one at a time and vote on these, each one separately? So, any questions on this 53,000?
I'll move it.
Moved by Harry.
Second it.
Second by Jeff. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then there's, so that's the first one. The second one is from various accounts. Hickory Hill Drainage, $2,233. The pole camera for DPW, $1,250. Supply Pond R&M for engineering, $66. Fire Department hydraulic tools, $1,486. Cardiac monitors at fire, $669. Cardiac monitor, $1,397. Speed detection at police, $18, for a total of $7,109. And then transfer that back to the general fund for $7,109. That'll come back as revenue. Any questions on that?
I have just a quick question. Why would the cardiac monitors be separate when they're both the same?
Probably different years.
Different years?
Yeah. So these are allocations for different
Okay.
years.
All right.
Kind of expired
Okay.
to some extent.
All right.
I'll move it, Joe.
Been moved by Jeff,
Second. Oops.
second by Charlie. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And on this one is a consolidation from, and here's your point, Charlie. Consolidation from seawalls for $10,362, and to seawall repair, DPW, $10,362. In that case, it is a consolidation. Questions on that one?
I'll move it. Second.
The moved and seconded by Harry. Discussion. All in favor? You all set, Jim? Okay. Number 9 is our budget work session. And in this agenda item, we will review the entire budget, and at the end of it, take a short break for any financial and final resolutions to be prepared. And we'll come back and continue the votes prior to adjournment.
You need one?
As we know, we've had 3 nights of public hearings, and the budget presentations in total were $127,024,327, which was an expenditure increase of 5%, and that equated to a mill rate of approximately 30.25 mils, or 0.8 of a mil increase. The board has listened to all the presentations, and they've met among themselves individually, but not to constitute, and with others, that not constituting any meetings, and just having some discussions and some calculations. and we've come up with what we believe is a reasonable budget that we'll be presenting to the RTM. We'll go through each budget and vote on each individual budget. If members have adjustments that we want to talk about, that's part of the process. So we'll start with the first budget on page 11, which is legislative. And there's no recommended changes.
I'll move it.
So the budget is $18,503, moved by Charlie.
Second.
Seconded by Jeff. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next budget is executive. Recommended budget is $310,104 on page 12.
I'll move it, Joe.
Been moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by Charlie. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is finance. Total budget $100,039. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is fiscal services. On page
14.
14, there's a recommended change in that to adjust the salary to a revised $421,956, and the accrued payroll increased $22 to $1623. That total budget is $500,706. Is there questions on that? That is a adjustment for a salary increase for the finance director.
I'll move it.
Moved by Charlie,
I'll second it.
seconded by Jeff. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
What I'm going to do, yes, is once we get through the general government, then we'll go to the education budget, just for notation. Next is page 15, the assessors, and there are no recommended changes. Budget at $465,544 as presented.
I'll move it.
Second.
And moved and seconded. The discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Next is Board of Tax Review. On page 16, no recommended changes, budget of $14,360.
I'll move it.
Second.
Been moved by Charlie, seconded by Harry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is tax collector. Requested is $836,756. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Been moved by Charlie,
Second.
seconded by Jeff. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is town clerk. Page 18, $275,257. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Charlie,
Second.
seconded by Jeff. Their discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Oh, we get Victor?
Victor is participating, and if he has,
Yeah, but I didn't hear.
no, he's
Only opposing.
only if he opposes.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
So just,
All right.
so he is our secret weapon.
Good.
I'm still here.
Okay? Told you.
I missed you.
The Democrats are equal to the Republicans at this table. Nice try, Charlie. Okay, page 19 is legal services, $450,000. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Second, Joe.
Seconded by Jeff. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is labor relations, which is page 20, $62,500. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Charlie, seconded by Jeff. Discussion. All in favor? Next is probate court, $15,900 on page 21. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Harry,
Second it.
seconded by Jeff. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
On page,
22.
okay, elections, page 22. Request is $253,900. There's no recommended changes on this.
I'll move it.
Moved
Second.
and seconded by Jeff. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Planning and zoning on page 23. Request $370,766.
Move it.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Next is ZBA, zoning board of appeals, on page 24, $9,492.
I'll move it.
No changes. Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next on page 25 is economic development, $19,150. No recommended changes.
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Harry. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Next on page 26. Inland wetlands, $142,431. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Harry. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Page 27, we have municipal buildings, $1,115,381. No recommended changes.
Move it.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Next is cable TV.
Gotta change it.
Recommended change of move from subcontracting to seasonal and part-time, $7,000. So it is a wash, correct? And so there are some changes in the line items, which is on page 28. 15,100 is the budget. With the change in the line items, somebody want to move it?
Move it. I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is IT. Recommended change is a reduction of $25,000 from purchase services. That line item will be 434, wait a minute. 434,737 for that line item. Budget will be 969,871. Thanks, Jim. Right?
959.
No, 969,871,
Okay.
which is,
Yeah, okay.
okay.
I'll move it.
Been moved by Harry,
Second by Pam.
seconded by Pam. Thank you, Pam. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's see, what else do we have? I think we're good. That takes us through the general government. We have human resources on page
30.
30. No recommended changes, $339,968.
Move it.
Been moved by
I'll
Jeff,
second it.
seconded by Charlie. Their discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next we'll move to the Board of Ed. On page 55 of our budget. Total request was $61,342,641. We are suggesting a reduction of $411,267. which is reflective of reducing the health insurance to 95% of claims. And that revised budget would be $60,931,374.
I'll move it.
Been moved by Harry,
Second.
second by Charlie. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll go back to police service, which I believe is on page 31.
Yep.
And 32.
The request is $7,154,249. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Been moved by Charlie,
Second.
second by Pam. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is police special detail, $525,000. No recommended changes on page 33.
I'll move it, Joe.
Been moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Charlie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next is Department of
Emergencies.
Emergency Services
Energy manager.
and
34.
actually Department of Emergency Management. Budget of $30,000. No recommended changes.
Move it.
Been moved.
Second. Oh. Pam.
What's that?
Pam
Is there a
second.
question? Oh, Pam seconded. Thank you. Motion's been seconded. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is fire protection, $7,040,778. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
The motion's been made and seconded. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is building inspection and enforcement, budget $218,601. No recommended changes.
I'll move it, Joe.
Been moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by Charlie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is other protection, transfer out, animal control, $207,785. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Been moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by Harry. Their discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is Public Works, $2,657,325. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Second.
By Jeff, seconded by Charlie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is Water Pollution Control, transfer out to utility fund of $600,000. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded by Jeff. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is Solid Waste Management and Recycling, $3,593,710. No recommended changes.
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by Pam. Their discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is Engineering, $465,339. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by Charlie. Their discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is Human Services, $1,155,938. No recommended changes.
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
I'll second it.
seconded by Charlie. Their discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Commission for Elderly, $451,843. No recommended changes.
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by
Harry.
Harry. Thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is East Shore Health, $360,473. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Been moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Pam. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next is Recreation Department, $1,246,360. No recommended changes.
I'll move it, Joe.
Been moved by Jeff,
I'll second it.
seconded by Charlie. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is Parks and Open Space on page 47, $26,800. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Harry. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is Docks and Recreational Facilities, $20,442. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Harry,
I'll second.
seconded by Pam. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is Public Celebration on page 49, $35,297. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Pam,
I'll second it.
seconded by Jeff. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is Conservation and Environment, Conservation Commission on page 50, $11,712. No recommended changes.
I'll move it, Joe.
Second.
Been moved and seconded by Charlie, moved by Jeff, seconded by Charlie. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is James Blackstone Memorial Library. The request was $1,650,816. No recommended changes.
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by Harry. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Page 52, we have Willoughby Wallace Library. Total request $262,891. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by Harry. There discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is, we have debt service, principal, the budget request is $7,210,000, no recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by Pam. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is debt service interest, $2,137,436, no recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by Harry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next on page 56, we have a budget request of $6,606,765. We have a recommended reduction of $90,000 on the municipal retirement line item, $90,970. Now bring that line item to $3,292,504, and that would bring the budget to $6,515,795.
Have the number again. 6 million? Yep.
$6,515,795.
Okay.
I'll move it with the change, Joe.
Moved with a change by Jeff.
I'll second the change.
Second change. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. On page 57, budget request $7,207,860. Recommended change reduction in the health insurance line item of $778,801, bringing that line item to $6,102,586, and bringing that budget to $429,059. So it's a reduction of $778,801, which is again to bring the, that's to reduce the
Health
premium
insurance.
based on
Funded at the partnership levels.
partnership levels, that's okay. So that's the PP level, which is the partnership level that the town is going to be pursuing with regards to health insurance, as presented by Jim at the budget hearings.
Move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff, that's $6,429,059.
Seconded.
Seconded by Harry.
Okay.
Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is municipal insurance on page 58. We had a total budget request of $2,366,858, recommending a $90,000 increase on the property, auto, and GL liability line item, bringing that line item to $1,206,858, and bringing the budget an increase of $90,000, which will make that total budget $2,456,858.
I'll move it, Joe.
Been moved by Jeff.
I got a question. Is that because we underestimated?
Yeah, Jim, you have I know you touched on that the other night. You want to remind us?
Yeah, I think Charlie hit it on the head. I think the estimate that we made initially, when we got some more detail, was a little bit off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that primarily on the GL side or the property side, or?
It's on a variety of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it includes GL, auto, liability, public officials,
Everything, yeah.
everything.
Okay.
Okay, are there additional questions on this? There's a motion been made. Has not been seconded.
I'll second it.
Seconded, I think you made it. Seconded by Harry. You can't second your own. That's all
I'm
right.
losing track here.
Me too. Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
The motion made.
Thanks a
and
lot.
Seconded. Is there additional discussion or questions? All in favor?
Okay.
Okay. On page 59, contingency as originally presented was $1,055,824. Recommended reduction of $60,000, making contingency in that budget $995,824.
I'll move it.
Been moved by Charlie,
I'll second.
seconded by Pam. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we'll look at the capital items. We'll take the Board of Ed items first. And I believe they're on page 73. And I'll go through these items for equipment and services. So we'll vote on these individually on the categories here, the equipment and services. And the request was $50,000 for, hard to read here, for school technology, $50,000. Board recommend $50,000. The lease authorization for teachers' laptops, $404,000, no recommended changes. Office administrative computers, $10,000, no recommended changes. Security camera and equipment, $10,000, no recommended changes. Facility equipment, $18,000, no recommended changes. So that's a total of $492,000.
I'll move it.
Moved by Charlie,
I'll second it.
seconded by Jeff. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Next on the buildings, request of $50,000 from architectural study for J.B. Sliney, no recommended changes. Mary Tisco, 20,000 tile replacement, no recommended changes. Central air conditioning, $2,250,000. Request, Board of Finance recommending 0 at this time. Mary Tisco, request for 20,000 tile replacement, no recommended changes. Request for central air conditioning of debt service, $2,250,000, recommended 0. System-wide abandoned UST removal, $30,000, no recommended changes. Door replacement, $50,000, no recommended changes. So the request was $4,670,000. The recommended capital budget would be $170,000 on that line item. And the reason is that we believe we have to have additional discussions in more detail with regards to the scope and breadth of the projects. Thank you for the information, Don, that was provided from you and Hamlet, which was informational. I think we just have to have more information brought forth before the board entertains that as a placeholder on the capital items. Somebody want to?
I'll move the 170.
Move the 170, Charlie?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Jeff. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then the third category of facilities was a $10,000 request system-wide for sidewalk repair, $10,000, no recommended changes.
Move it.
Moved by Jeff, $10,000, seconded by Pam. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is infrastructure. Was fire code ADA compliance, $15,000, no recommended changes.
I'll move that.
Move that.
15.
Motion's been made. Moved. Somebody want to second that?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the total Board of Ed would be $687,000. We'll take a motion on that.
So moved.
Moved by Harry,
Second it.
second by Jeff. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next is the town capital. On page 71, I'll go through these items here. For revaluation, $75,000, no change. The storage array, $160,000, recommending 0 on that, but moving that to ARPA funds, which we will entertain separately, right, Jim? So that's a recommended is to take it out of the general fund and move it to ARPA.
program.
Next is desktop computers, $30,000, no recommended changes. Senior Center Vehicle Replacement Fund, $35,000, no recommended changes. Fire Sinking Fund, $375,000, no recommended changes. Ambulance Fund, $165,000, no recommended changes. Radio upgrade for the sinking fund.
Joe.
What?
Then it changed from 200 to 165?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
For
went
the,
down.
for the ambulance fund, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, went down 35.
Gotcha. So that's at 165,000 down from 200, thank you. Radio upgrade, sinking fund, 150,000, no change, no recommended change. The SCBA gear replacement, 85,000, no recommended changes. The Lucas CPR device, change that from general fund and move it to ARPA for 32,000. Gear extractor for fire, again, moving it from general fund to ARPA funds. Likewise, for ambulance fund, 75,000, moving from general fund to ARPA funds. Police cruisers, 156,000, no recommended changes. police cruiser-related equipment, $84,000, no recommended changes. The laser radar speed detector, $12,000, no recommended changes. License plate reader is 0 asks, so we'll give them that. Portable radio replacement, $9,132, no recommended changes. Vest replacement, $8,200, no recommended changes. Downtown center maintenance, $25,000, no recommended changes. DPW sinking fund, $225,000, no recommended changes. Town line striping of $50,000, no recommended changes. Power washing for the police, GGB, $17,000 for the police building, no recommended changes. Vehicle replacement for GGB, $7,500, no recommended changes. Pump station generators, $50,000, no recommended changes. Sewer reserve fund, $225,000, no recommended changes. The apparatus fund for the wastewater treatment plant, $75,000, no recommended changes. For the showmobile for recreation, moving from general fund to ARPA funds of $220,000, and the Blackstone Library sinking fund of $35,000, no recommended changes. So that subtotal is $2 million. Request was $2,445,000, and recommended would be $2,410,832.
So moved.
Moved by Harry,
Second.
second by Jeff. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So I'm going to switch up here, and if there is a change, I will note it. If there isn't, I'm just going to read the amount. So for fire headquarters, the Glycol replacement, $38,000. For the Orchard House, the partial roof replacement was a request for $25,000. That is 0. The police department, $35,000 for new UPS. For the service center, volunteer service center, $25,000 for MAU replacement, that's 0. Recommended 0. $25,000 for future savings project is funded at $25,000. That is total buildings of $98,000 versus a request of $151,000.
I move it.
Been moved by Jeff, seconded by
Charlie.
Charlie. Is there a discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on facilities, for these are all recreation. Field renovations, $20,000. Basketball court renovations, $20,000. Fencing replacement, $20,000. Tree removal and pruning, $20,000. Playground renovation, $75,000. Splash pad of $350,000. No changes, so $505,000 for total facilities.
I move that.
Moved by Charlie,
Second.
seconded by Harry. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, for infrastructure, wastewater treatment plant, pump station, submersible pump station repairs and rebuild, $50,000. Sewer line manhole repair program, $50,000. Parks and recreation improvements, $92,800. Engineering local traffic authority projects, $25,000. Engineering trolley trail scour protection, $65,000. Supply pond bridge replacement, $75,000. Capital sidewalk improvements of request was $650,000, reducing that for general fund purposes to $100,000 and moving $550,000 to ARPA funds. Likewise, for Meadow Street engineering services, request was $75,000, move that to ARPA funds of $75,000. Meadow Street, road improvement and resurfacing, $500,000. Sidewalk replacement of $65,000. Seawall repair of $45,000, and ADA sidewalk of $20,000. That subtotal is $1,712,800 with the various changes based on the funding.
Move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Harry. Their discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the total for all of those capital items for the municipal side is $4,726,632. Take a motion on that.
So moved.
Moved by Harry,
Second.
second by Pam. Thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I think we're good on votes on that for now. Yep, okay. So, next we will move to the other budgets. Section 3 we'll go to, open space budget, on page 61. We'll track with that, total request of $63,051. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Been moved by Charlie,
Second.
seconded by Harry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Page 62, Shoreline Adult Education Enrichment Fund. Total request of $71,600. No recommended changes.
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by Harry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next on page 63, School Age Child Care Fund and FRC, $373,460. No recommended changes.
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff, seconded by Pam. For discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, on page 64, Sewer Assessment Fund, $14,949. No recommended changes.
Move it.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, on page 66.
65?
66, the wastewater sewer utility fund, $4,797,890. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On page 68, Animal Control Fund. Request is $441,935. No recommended changes.
I'll move, Joe.
Moved by Pam, seconded by Victor.
Yeah.
Yay.
Is that what, Victor, was that a second? Thank you.
Yes, that's correct.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next on page 70, Human Services Fund. Request is $1,813,938. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Motion's been made,
Second.
Charlie.
seconded by Charlie. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. At this point, we have, we'll do some final votes and tally up some of the changes here to, is there anything else we need to cover, Jim, before we?
Yeah, I think,
Oh, the ARPA funds?
yeah, there's that, and embedded in some of the capital, there's the, you have the lease fund for the town of $142,000.
And what page is that on, Jim?
That's on page
Now we'll do the ARPA funds as well.
So if you're looking at page 60, you have the,
Page 60, how do we miss that one? Page 60.
so there's a couple items that kind of complement the capital, but they're not in the capital plan. So you have the lease fund of $142,000 for the town, lease fund BOE $100,000, and the coastal resiliency fund of $306,000.
Okay, so on page 60, yeah, as Jim mentioned, you've got the lease fund. You could take these individually. So you have the transfer out for lease funds, and this really funds the capital leases that you have. For $142,000, the request was a $2,000 increase, but what was presented to the board is $142,000. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Been moved by Jeff,
Charlie?
Second.
seconded by Charlie. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the Board of Ed request for $100,000, no recommended changes in order to fund their capital leases.
I'll move it.
Move Charlie,
Jeff.
Second.
seconded by Jeff. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And the third one, we'll let Harry handle this one, is is Jim's Coastal Resiliency Fund of $306,000. No recommended changes.
I'll move it.
Moved by Harry,
Second.
seconded by Pam. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I think that takes care of those votes. Next, we should look at the ARPA funds. And what we're looking at tonight, I'll read through them. We've gone over them before. We're looking at a Board of Finance recommendation of $2,232,000. I'll read as discussed at the public hearings. Under general government, we had $25,000 for information technology. Under public safety, we have the CPR devices for $32,000. The gear extractor these are for fire. The gear extractor of $30,000. The ambulance equipment of $75,000, and ambulance purchase of $220,000. We also have paving of $1 million. We have street lining of $125,000. We have the Meadow Street Boardwalk Engineering Services of $75,000. And we have sidewalk improvements of $550,000. And we have health and human service needs of $100,000. So that total is $2,232,000. And so those are funds that are incorporated into the budget. Jim?
Yeah, what we did with this is there's two distinctions. There are some projects that we're looking to do in the current year. So you see the 22 column, that's the $380,000. So we'll have a separate resolution for the current year. And then the other is the 232. And some of these projects were basically coordinated programmatically with the general fund, and some other projects were actually enhancing what's in the general fund.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll look at, this is the ones that I went through is for 2023. We'll vote on that. Then I'll go back and address the 22 items. So are there questions or, Charlie?
Jim, on the ambulance purchase, is that still within the guidelines of the ARPA funds?
Yes.
It is. Now, is that going into the sinking fund, or?
No, actually, we're gonna purchase that ambulance, Charlie, out of the ARPA fund. And what that does is you notice you reduce the ambulance contribution down to $165,000 in your capital plan, which is more than the current year. And so by doing that, you're actually strengthening reserve fund, and it also provides a little bit of hedge against inflation going forward.
Okay, thanks. No, I just want to be sure we're in line with the ARPA requirements.
ARPA regs, yep.
Mm.
Okay. Other questions? Somebody want to move 2,230,000?
So moved.
Moved by Harry,
Second it.
second by Jeff. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then for the current year, the fiscal 2022, we're looking to buy the IT sand storage device that Debbie mentioned the other day for $160,000. And on the next page, Alex's showmobile for $220,000 for a total of $380,000.
I'll move it, Joe.
Been moved,
Second.
second by Pam. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Can we just have a couple revenue adjustments?
revenue adjustments, sure.
And so the revenue adjustments that you have, excuse me, increasing building permits by 25,000, increase to the foot park grant of 87.5, and increase in fund balance brought forward at 250,000.
Okay. So, and those have been incorporated into the revenue estimates, which will be part of the preliminary mill rate calculation. And as we know, when we recommend the budget tonight to the RTM, they'll go through their deliberations. Their recommended expenditures will come back to the Board of Finance for finalization of the revenues and setting of the mill rate. Is there anything else we need to do before we break for a minute, Jim? No. We ordinarily don't until the budget meeting. We can. Do you think it's important to do that?
Well, you're gonna just,
When we transmit it, it's
you'll have
recommended.
the adjusted, you'll have the adjusted revenue, but you won't actually vote on it, Joe, until,
Right. That's, it's because it's an estimate at this point in time?
okay.
That's how I was addressing it.
Okay, fine.
That's fair. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute recess. All right, we're going to get started again. So the results of the presentations and subsequent workshop from tonight, we are at a total budget requirements of $124,524,065, which is an increase over the prior year of $3,558,750, or a 2.94% increase in expenditures. Estimated revenues, which we've preliminarily adjusted for up to a total of $14,953,087, leaves a net to be raised from taxation of $109,570,978, or a 3.3% increase in taxation. With the mill rate, with the grand list estimated at $3,810,911,000, that equates to a 29.45 mill rate, which is no change. And so that's what we're recommending to the RTM. We will go through a series of final resolutions in order to formalize all of those actions. Before I do that, I'd like to take one moment to have the board consider taking the tax collector report off the table from the previous meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Harry,
I'll second.
seconded by Charlie. We'll have a brief discussion. Harry, you want to lead
Yes,
that?
yes, Mr. Chairman. Having had the opportunity to discuss the report with tax collector in Parado, and I know Charlie also, and Pam, we came to a conclusion that progress was being made, and there's a lot more to be done. So what I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, and I'll frame it in a motion, that the tax collector prepare a report on his report of what progress is being made and what actions need to be made, if any, and appear with the report in 60 days to this board.
Okay. Excuse me, motion's been made,
I'll second.
seconded by Jeff.
I think
Discussion?
that's it. Is that enough time? You think
60 days?
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm okay with it if that's what the motion says.
What do you think? Is that enough time for him to have it ready?
Well, if he can't, he can come and ask why, we can then ask why.
Charlie,
Okay,
you can give us
fine.
progress in 60
Fine.
days. He can give us progress in 60 days.
Well, Charlie, also remember that his report now is not stale, but it's already 30 days, which means more work is being done. So he really has a total of a work time of 90 days. But I think with the outstanding issues there, we should move appropriately, but, you know, I mean, we're here, if there are issues that are outstanding, he could put those in his report.
Okay, you got me. Okay, you got me.
I got you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Now, I'll read through these various resolutions. Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of $61,194,374 for the Board of Education operating budget plus capital budget for fiscal year 22-23.
I'll move it, Joe.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of $63,329,691 for all other town departments for fiscal year 2022 and 23.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Jeff, seconded by Charlie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is resolved that the Board of Finance hereby pass the following budget for the fiscal year 2022 and 2023. Board of Ed operating $60,631,374. Board of Ed capital leases $263,000 for a subtotal of $61,194,374. Town department $63,329,691 for a total of $124,524,065.
Move it.
Second?
Been moved, seconded by Pam. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of $63,051 to the Open Space Fund budget for fiscal 2022-23.
So moved.
Been moved by Charlie,
I'll second it.
seconded by Jeff. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of $14,949 to the Sewer Assessment Fund budget for fiscal 2022-23.
So moved.
Moved by Harry,
Second.
seconded by Jeff. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of the Board of Ed Shoreline Adult Education Enrichment Fund budget for fiscal 22-23 of $71,600.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Motion been made, seconded by Pam. Pam, is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of $373,460 to the Board of Education School Age Child Care Fund budget for fiscal 22-23.
I'll move it.
Moved by Pam,
Second.
seconded by Jeff. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of $4,797,890 to the wastewater treatment plant budget for fiscal 22-23.
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Charlie. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of $441,935 to the Animal Control Fund budget for fiscal 22-23.
Move it.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
second by Pam. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of $1,813,938 to the Human Services Special Revenue Fund budget for fiscal 22-23.
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by Charlie,
Second it.
seconded by Jeff. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of $404,000 to the lease fund budget for fiscal 22-23.
I'll move it, Joe.
Moved by
Second.
Jeff, seconded by Charlie. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of $2,232,000 to the ARPA fund budget for fiscal 22-23.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded by Pam. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And this budget here is actually for fiscal 21-22, but it's with regard to the ARPA funds. Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation of $380,000 to the ARPA fund budget for fiscal 21-22.
I'll move it, Joe.
Motion's been made,
Harry.
Second.
seconded by Charlie.
Yeah.
Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have a final resolution here. Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM, resolved that the Board of Finance recommends that the RTM evaluate the request to fund the positions of the Registrar of Voters on a full-time basis beginning in January 1, 2023 for each of their two-year term of office at a rate of pay recommended by the Human Resources Department and approved by the RTM. This recommendation will be pursuant to an analysis of the department's operations and staffing requirements.
I'll move it.
Motion's been made,
Second.
seconded by Pam. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're just about in wrap-up here, and I would like to thank all of the department heads for their participation. I'd like to thank Lisa, our clerk, for scheduling and helping us through the meetings. Thank Henry for the cable TV activities. Thanks to Jamie, Catherine, and of course James Finch. So thanks all, and thanks to the board. Jamie, you have anything you'd like to add?
Sure, Joe. Thank you, and thank you to the board to deliver a budget in these inflationary times with the no tax increase is tremendous in itself, but considering that the town of Branford is staying true to its principles in funding our liabilities, investing in our infrastructure, and continuing to provide programs and services to meet the residents' needs, I think is a tremendous thing for our town. I thank you for the entire board for their commitment and finance department for working on this budget, and look forward to the next month and a half working with the RTM as they go through their review and validation of this budget. So thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Any board members, any comments? Charlie?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, this has been a great team effort this year. I mean, the town and the board and everybody's been working together to make this a very skinny budget. And it's the first time in many years that I know of that we've delivered a flat budget or no increased budget to the RTM. and I think they'll be happy to have it come their way.
Thanks, Charlie. Victor, you have any comments?
No, good meeting, Joe, as usual. Thanks for accommodating my remote participation.
Okay, very good. Any other board members? And Pam, welcome. Glad you for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, with no other business to come before the board, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Harry,
Second.
second by Pam. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.